Ted Bundy, a name that sends chills down the spine. Charming, intelligent, a man who could make anyone believe he was their best friend. A man who could make you feel safe, even though he had the soul of a predator. He walked among us, through classrooms, on campus, and in neighborhoods, his smile a mask that hid a darkness so deep, it would lead to the brutal deaths of 30 innocent women across multiple states. What could drive a man, seemingly so normal, to commit such horrific, unspeakable acts? How did he manage to evade justice for so long, even as his crimes stacked up across the nation? In today's story, we will peel back the layers of Ted Bundy's charm to reveal the chilling truth behind the smile that hid a monster. Born in 1946, Ted Bundy's story began in an ordinary town, nothing that would ever suggest the horror he would bring. Raised by his grandparents after his mother, Eleanor, told him she was his sister, Bundy grew up with a deep need for approval, a hunger for power that would shape his dark future. Ted Bundy was everything society admired: handsome, intelligent, articulate, and driven. He was a law student, on his way to success, a man who could easily charm anyone into believing he was just like them. He was popular, well-liked, and seemingly harmless. Women were drawn to him, not just for his looks, but for the way he made them feel. He seemed genuine, kind, a man who understood them. But behind the smile, behind the charm, there was something darker, something much more dangerous. This charm, this warmth, would soon turn cold, leading to one of the most notorious killing sprees in U.S. history. His need for power had evolved, twisted into something far more sinister. And when his charm was no longer enough, Bundy's dark urges would take control. The monster hidden beneath the surface was about to be unleashed. In 1974, Ted Bundy began his reign of terror, targeting young women in the Pacific Northwest. But this wasn't a random act, no. Bundy stalked his victims, methodically choosing them, using his charm to lure them into his deadly trap. He didn't just pick anyone. He selected women who would never suspect him, using his smile and his demeanor to disarm them. It wasn't just luck. Bundy had perfected the art of manipulation. He was a chameleon, able to slip into any role, any persona, gaining the trust of his victims before they even realized they were in danger. He was the perfect predator, his charm a mask for the terror he would bring. Janice Ott and Denise Naslund, 2 lives cut short, 2 families forever shattered. Janice, a young woman full of life, with dreams of becoming a teacher. Denise, a bright student, just starting her journey in the world. These women were more than just victims. They were daughters, friends, and sisters, each with a future stolen from them in the blink of an eye. And yet, Bundy was not just a killer, he was a master of disguise, fooling everyone around him, including the police. His charisma hid his true nature. For years, Bundy was someone people trusted, even admired. He was a law student, an upstanding citizen. But behind that facade, behind those eyes, was a monster that few could see coming. But even the most dangerous predators make mistakes. And Bundy, despite his charm, despite his intelligence, would slip up. For years, police were baffled. The killings were spread across multiple states: Utah, Washington, Colorado, each one seeming unrelated, with no clear pattern. Victims were vanishing, often in broad daylight, leaving nothing but confusion and fear behind them. The killer was elusive, his methods too varied, his victims too different. But as the bodies stacked up, the pieces slowly began to fit together. And then, the first breakthrough. A composite sketch of the man seen near the crime scenes. A vague description of a car. A tip from a witness who'd noticed a suspicious figure lurking near one of the missing women. Slowly, very slowly, the pieces started to fall into place. They were looking for one man. One killer. But Bundy was no ordinary criminal. He was a former law student, a man who knew the system inside and out. He wasn't just some random killer, he was smart, calculated, and incredibly manipulative. He knew how to talk his way out of anything, how to win people over, how to stay one step ahead of the authorities. He could be anyone, your neighbor, your friend, even the police themselves. And yet, despite all his cunning, despite all his charm, Bundy was being watched. The walls were closing in. The hunt was on. In 1975, Bundy was finally arrested. But what followed was not the end, it was just the beginning. His trial would captivate the nation, not because of the crimes themselves, but because of Bundy himself, his charm, his arrogance, and the chilling normalcy of his demeanor. He sat there, in court, calm, collected, even charming. A man who seemed so normal, yet beneath that calm demeanor lay a cold-blooded killer. His composure in the face of such overwhelming evidence sent a chilling message. Bundy wasn't just playing the system, he was manipulating it. For the victims' families, this was not just a trial. It was the beginning of healing, of finally getting answers. After years of pain, of wondering who took their loved ones, they were about to hear the truth. But the journey to justice wasn't without its toll. But Bundy wasn't finished. He would escape, twice. His manipulative nature and his knowledge of the law allowed him to slip through the cracks, first from a jail cell, and then, in an even bolder move, from a courtroom. The man who seemed untouchable was about to become more dangerous than ever. Bundy's escape from custody was nothing short of a miracle for the killer. In 1977, he pulled off a feat that seemed unimaginable. He broke free from jail. It wasn't luck, it was skill, and his knowledge of the law made him a step ahead of everyone. A man who had already evaded justice once now had a chance to strike again. Bundy's rampage would continue across Colorado. But this time, he would leave behind more bodies, more clues, and more questions. His ability to disappear, to blend in with the crowd, was unmatched. The search was on, but with each new murder, the trail grew colder, the stakes higher. But Bundy would not outsmart everyone. His crimes finally caught up with him. The resilience of the survivors, the unwavering dedication of law enforcement, these forces would unite, and Bundy's time running free was running out. Despite his cunning, despite his ability to disappear, there was no escaping justice forever. But just when he thought he had escaped forever, Bundy made one last mistake. One slip that would end his run and bring his reign of terror to an explosive end. In 1978, Bundy's final capture came after a dramatic chase. A high-speed pursuit through the streets of Florida, his escape attempt was one last gamble for freedom. But as the police closed in, Bundy was trapped. And when he was arrested once again, he was faced with the one thing that could never escape him, the truth. 4 years, Bundy denied his guilt. He spun a web of lies, manipulating the public and law enforcement. He convinced himself that he could evade the consequences. But in the final moments, as he sat in a prison cell, facing the death penalty, Bundy confessed. 30 lives. 30 stories. 30 stolen futures. Bundy's confession came too late for the victims, but it was a brutal reckoning for him. His arrogance faded, and in the end, he admitted what he had done. The truth could no longer be avoided. I'm guilty. It's all true. His final confession shocked the world. Ted Bundy was no longer the charming man everyone thought he was. He was a monster, a murderer, and a liar. But even in death, he remains one of the most captivating killers in history. His story continues to haunt the public imagination, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lie beneath a smile. Ted Bundy was executed in 1989, but his story does not end there. His death was the end of one man's reign of terror, but his story serves as a chilling reminder of the dangers hidden behind a smile, of how evil can wear the face of charm, how a man can manipulate the trust of a nation, and yet still be capable of the most heinous acts. For the victims' families, justice was served, but the scars remain. Bundy's legacy is not one of redemption or reform, it's a legacy of loss and horror. For every victim, there was a family, a life torn apart, and a future stolen. The emptiness left behind is felt to this day. Ted Bundy's story is a dark chapter in history. But for those who survived, and those who lost loved ones, it's a chapter they will never forget. We must remember the lives taken and honor their memory by ensuring justice prevails. The fight for justice continues, and so does the healing of those who were left behind. So, what do you think? Could Bundy have been stopped sooner? What does his story say about the darkness that can hide within us all? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.